Greetings, YouTube. 57% of Swiss voters have decided to ban the construction of minarets in Switzerland. The government itself was opposed to this proposal, but democracy being what it was, or is, 57% of the voters decided that they would actually ban the construction of minarets. And while this is a triumph for democracy, it is an utter failure for tolerance. Now you can imagine that if this was going to be put to a vote, there should be some sort of need for this vote. There must be some sort of wave of minarets being constructed in Switzerland that are making the population a bit nervous. So I'd like you to guess how many minarets are in the nation of Switzerland. Did you guess 100? Did you guess 50? No, actually, it's 4. 4 minarets in the entire nation of Switzerland have prompted two Swiss voters to ban any further construction. I don't know how else to put this, but that was a blatant act of bigotry, intolerance, and prejudice. This is not going to make Switzerland look good. The government knows this. They're well aware of the fact that such a vote is going to make them look like a bunch of intolerant bigots, because people voting for this kind of a thing are expressing an intolerant and bigoted worldview. And it isn't really going to achieve anything pragmatic either, because nice, moderate, law-abiding Muslims are going to be insulted and offended by this law, and rightfully so, because it is offensive. And radical Muslims, fundamentalists who are just looking for any kind of excuse there is to commit some kind of crime or act of violence, are simply going to use this act, this law, as fuel for the hatred of the flame of their hatred. There is no reason to pass this. It is not going to do anything. Minarets are not part and parcel of the Muslim faith. Yes, they are an accoutrement, an accessory, if you will, but they aren't required. I live in a town with quite a few Muslims. There aren't no minarets. We don't even have any mosques. But they still go to prayer. They pray at home. They pray at home. They pray at work. And they gather on Friday nights to pray in whatever building they happen to be renting that serves as their mosque. So banning these minarets isn't going to achieve their goal, whatever their goal is other than bigotry and intolerance, I guess. Now, I had someone on the online comment about the fact that they were distraught because a liberal nation like Switzerland made such a move. But I've never thought of Switzerland as liberal. I've never thought of them as a progressive liberal people. I've thought of them as very conservative, business-oriented. They are neutral. But they're neutral because that is really conducive to good business. And that's what they're all about. Good business. But it doesn't mean they're liberal. In fact, I would be surprised if they were not some of the more conservative Europeans. And there's a reason for this. Their neutrality has made them wealthy. If you change that neutrality, the wealth may go elsewhere. Now, I don't know how many Muslims live in Switzerland, but this kind of an action is just going to disenfranchise them, make them angry, resentful, and if nothing else, sad. I'm a firm believer in the intolerance of others, so long as they do you no harm, and building a minaret is not doing anybody any harm. What about the church steeples? I'm sure there are church steeples all over the place in Switzerland. Many of them probably have bells in them. Now, I live in a block with 2 churches. I look out my bedroom window, I can see a bell tower. I look off my back porch, outside that window over behind me, and I can see a church steeple. They play bells all day long. From about 7 a.m., I think, till 6 p.m. I don't think they play after that. On top of that, across the street, on that side of my building, between me and one of those church towers, is a fire department. So I listen to sirens 24 hours a day. Oh, actually, at this point, I much don't listen to them. They just kind of have background noise. So I don't think the Swiss can claim that it's a noise problem. I don't think someone being called to prayer would be any more or less bothersome than bells or sirens. It's just a sound in a city. You get used to it. Cities are noisy places. No, this is just bigotry and prejudice and intolerance. And it's sad to see that a first world nation such as Switzerland can't understand that, bottom line, this is bad for business. Sorry, one of my cats is making noise. So, I hope they resolve it. I hope eventually this gets struck down. I'm not sure if Switzerland has a Supreme Court of some variety, but I hope they do. I hope that the courts, at least, will defend the rights of the minority. Because if you don't, the majority can oppress you any way they want. Sound familiar?